Okay, here's the video on the point-slope formula with linear equations. So we're going to use this formula when we have only one pair. For example, if we just had this point on the grid, we just had one pair, and we know the slope. We know m means slope. So if we only had one pair and the slope, we can use the point-slope formula. Now if we had two pairs, well, we can use the regular equation, the change of y over the change of x. So let's look at that and see how we can make the point-slope formula. So if you remember, if we had the change of y over the change of x, we know that's rise over run. So rise over run. And we could plot points within this. So for example, bring this over here. Let's say we had these points. We had 2, 5. Bring that down a little. And let's say we had another point. Okay, let's say we had 3, 7. Okay, so with the change of y, the change of y over the change of x, we're taking two y's. We have a y here, we have a y here. So we're saying 7 minus 5. 7 is y, 5 is y. And the x is 3 minus 2. And we get our slope m. That's a 5, right? So we have 2 over 1, and we have 2 as the slope. So that's if we had two pairs. But if we go back, what if I just gave you one pair and the slope? We would use the point-slope formula. So now let me show you how we can get the point-slope formula using the change of y over the change of x. So the change of y and the change of x, we'll write it over here again. So we're saying y2 minus y1 divided by x2, x subscript 2, x subscript 1, and we're getting m. So this formula we're already familiar with to get the slope. Now we're going to do a little algebra here. Remember, if you remember when we did algebra, we can multiply up, we can divide down when we have an equation like this. So I'm going to multiply up. So if I multiply this up, we're left the y2 minus the y1 stay. And then we can multiply, remember parentheses mean multiplication, and we get the point-slope formula right away, just by multiplying up. So from the formula, the change of y over the change of x, from this formula to get the slope, we got the point-slope formula. So you should review the tape if you didn't understand that. If I gave you, for example, m over 2 equals 5, well, we know we can multiply up. 2 times 5 is 10, so m equals 10. We just multiplied up. It's the same thing we did here. We just multiplied x2 minus x1 to m, and we got this. So this is the point-slope formula. So let's go back to the question. Let's say I had this point on the grid, 3, 5, and we had the slope of 3. So we have y minus 5. We're going to take y and then minus the 5, minus another y. Okay? And we're going to have that equal m, and we're going to have it x minus 3. So basically we have the second y alone and the second x alone, and we fill in the first y and x, the first y and the first x. Now we already know what m is also, so let's bring this up. Now we're saying y minus 5 equals 3 x minus 3. Now we can do some algebra. Y minus 5 equals 3x minus 9. Distributive property. So now we can do some algebra here. I can plus the 5 on both sides. Remember, you want to do the opposite operation. And we'll get our final answer. We'll get our answer of what the equation is. Y is now alone, 3x minus 4. So there's our y-intercept, and there's our slope. Now if you wanted to find the x-intercept, all we have to do is make y 0. Make y 0, and we can find the x-intercept. So we're going to add 4 on both sides. And let me just Do it over here now. We had 0, because we're making y 0 to find the x-intercept, 3x minus 4. We added 4 on both sides. Okay, divide out 3. So the x-intercept will be 4/3, we know, or we can say 1 1/3. Of course, we've done videos on the x-intercept, so you should go over that if you didn't understand that. So let's look at another question. See if you can do this one now. Here's a point, 3, 9. And the slope is 2. So what do we do? Remember, we had the slope, point slope formula. We had this. You have to try to memorize this. Some students say y to y, mx to x. Y to y, mx to x. Right? Or whatever mnemonic device you need. So, we're using the first y, so we can say 9 equals 2, m is 2, and we're going to say x minus 3. Okay. Y minus 9 equals 2x minus 6. Add the 9, because we want the y alone, on both sides. And the final answer, what would the final answer be? We'll bring it up here. Y is alone now, right? We have 2x, and we're going to have plus 3. Minus 6 plus 9 is plus 3. So we've taken a pair, just one pair, just one point on the grid, and the slope, and we got our equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. So let's do one more. See if you can do this one now. It's a little harder because there's fractions, but it's the same concept. See what you get. Okay, so again, the formula, we'll just keep writing it so you remember it. Right, remember, y to y, mx to x. Fill in our numbers here. We don't really need the 2 anymore. Slope is 1/4. There we go. Now distribute. So we have y minus 3 equals 1/4 x minus 1/8. Now what do we do? Let's add 3 on both sides. And let's put the answer over here. So we have y alone now. Okay, we have 1/4 x, and we're going to have plus 2 7/8. There's our answer. Okay, so that's how we do point slope. That's how we get the point slope formula. And that's how we use it for linear equations. Great job.